ApolloLX Navigation. The objectives of this training video are the following. 1. Explain the ApolloLX screen layout. 2. Demonstrate the concept of modules and filters. 3. Show how to find a patient using filters and search options. 4. Demonstrate how to view a patient's cardiac clinical history. 5. Explain a workflow and how to navigate through different tabs within a workflow. 6. Explain the validation pane. And 7. Show the main icons on the ApolloLX Toolbar. To begin, go to the Lumedx CVIS folder under My Apps, and then you will click on the icon labeled Lumedx. If you are on a workstation at the hospital, this Lumedx icon will be displayed on your desktop. When the login window appears, enter your network ID and password in the username and password fields. ApolloLX Screen Layout. When you log into ApolloLX, the default layout consists of the screen, which is divided into 3 major sections called panes. Panes are used to organize data and tools in ApolloLX. When viewing a patient, 2 panes are available. On the top left-hand side of the screen, you will see the clinical history pane, and below this, you will see the filters pane. When you are in a patient record, there are 3 panes that are now available. Clinical history again is at the top, workflows in the middle, and the window at the bottom is called the validation pane. We will talk about these 3 in more detail throughout the training video. You can work with panes in the following ways. You can remove them, you can restore them if they are closed, and you can save them in a newly configured layout that you have made. Modules and filters. Within the filters pane, you will see several folders depending on your security access. Most of these folders represent different modules within ApolloLX, such as Echo, Holter, Cath, and EP. Once you click within a module, you will be presented with a series of filters. Filters allow you to find patient records in a variety of ways. For example, under the Echo module, I can find patients by looking at the To Be Read filter. This shows me all patients who have unread Echo studies. If I look at My Groups To Be Read, this will only show me studies that have been assigned to my physician practice group. If your filter displays a large number of records, you can manipulate the results in a few ways. I will demonstrate by looking at the All Records filter. You can see I have a large number of records in the result window. You can sort the records by any column by simply clicking on the column name. If I would like to sort on last name, I am simply going to click on the last name column header. You can see my records are now sorted. You can also search within any column by entering the criteria in the first row under the column header. For example, if I want to find a patient with the last name starting with the letter B, I can just type the letter B in the last name, and you can see the records begin filtering. Clinical history. Whenever a patient is selected in the patient grid, or if a workflow is open, the clinical history for that patient is displayed in the clinical history pane the top left side of your screen. The clinical history displays different cardiac events associated with the patient. Let's take a look at the clinical history of patient BHVH West, new PT. You can see that this patient has had procedures done in the cath module, the echo module, and the electrophysiology module. If I open up by clicking on the arrow within the invasive cath module, I can see the dates and the performing physician for those procedures. The same occurs within each of the other modules. If I open the echo module, I can see the dates and the event of what procedure was performed. The clinical history allows you to move easily between different views and events. You can launch an event and its associated workflow by double-clicking the paper icon or by right-clicking and selecting Launch Workflow. Workflows and validation. A workflow is a group of forms that are required to complete a patient record or report. If you recall from our training video earlier, in order to open a workflow, you can double-click on the patient in the result window, or you can double-click on the paperclip in the clinical history. Workflows appear in the Workflow panel. Only one workflow is available at a time. When a workflow is opened, the tasks for that workflow display in the Workflow panel. A task is a step that you complete as part of a workflow. Each task corresponds directly to a form that is filled out. If you double-click on one of those tasks, the corresponding form for that task will display in the Forms area on the right side of your screen. You can also navigate to a different task by clicking the corresponding tab in the Form area. The validation pane at the bottom of the screen lists issues with any data that you may have entered on a form. This pane is updated once you click Save. Some possible validation issue statuses are as follows. A red circle X means required data is missing, and you must fix this issue in order to finalize a report. If you see anything with a red circle X, you can double-click on the row and it will take you directly to the form to enter the data. You can see here that my cursor is put in the contrast volume, which is a required field. A yellow triangle with an exclamation point in the validation pane means optional data is missing. This does not have to be completed in order to finalize a report. ApolloLX Toolbar. The ApolloLX Toolbar is at the top of your screen. The toolbar icons will change depending on whether or not you are within a patient record. I will address a few of the icons on the ApolloLX Toolbar. View. If you click the View icon, it will open the patient event record that you have highlighted in their patient's list. Layout. If you have changed any of your layout, meaning you have maybe pinned your clinical history or closed your filters, you can save that as a default layout. You can reload your layout, or if you would like to go back to the Lumedx ApolloLX default, you can restore the default layout. The show icon will make sure that your filters, clinical history, or patient pool pane is now displayed in case you have closed it. Once you open a patient record, you will see a few new icons at the top of your screen. The patient icon will close the current record and return you back to the patient list. The Save icon saves any data that you have entered into the patient event record. The Cancel icon will cancel any changes you have made since the record was previously saved. The Attachments icon allows you to open a DICOM study associated with a patient. And the Reports icon allows you to run an existing report or create a new report for the event record. Thank you for watching ApolloLX Navigation.